Okay, when we're starting, our first category is daylight increasing and darkness increasing. Okay, so with your sun, with your moon, anything, we looked at the moon, but with the Mercury, your sun will probably they'll probably both be in the same category, but if the daylight's increasing, there's a tendency to be more independent, to do one's own thing, to be quick, to fast, to push things, to make things more independent, more active, to increase the activity. And when the nighttime is increasing, the darkness is increasing, there's less light, less energy, less independence, and more social or communal thinking. So our communal relations are vulnerabilities. So as there's winter, we're trying to be more involved with people, and we need each other to survive. In the summer, we're doing our own thing. So the daylight increasing, nighttime increasing is a very strong category. It's your Mercury and daylight increasing, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini. Because if it's on that side, you're always going to try to think things for yourself. You're almost going to take a little bit of offense by someone. If someone else is doing the thinking for you, or telling you what you should do, or what's right or what's wrong, you're going to be thinking, how do I get away from this? You're going to be processing, trying to move away from that so you can think for yourself. And education for you and learning for you will involve in doing yourself, find it yourself, fall for yourself, stand up, fall, run, learn, make sense of it. I'll try this, I want to learn about this. There's going to be that independent momentum from it. So even in Capricorn, which is the cautious, has that cautious reserve side, it may not be the most expressive side. So there's going to be 6 different stages of this. We're going to divide this down more, but an example of Mercury Capricorn, it's going to be listening. It's thinking about what it wants to do, but it's not going to feel everybody's listening to it. It's listening to everyone else, but not going to feel everyone's listening to it. It may not talk that much. It may not communicate that much because it's measuring the effects, because it realizes thoughts have effects. So it has, but it's going to measure, so one day I'll be able to express my thoughts or do what I want to do, but it's not, there's an initial reaction against other people telling me what to do and I don't want to say anything, but so it can be inhibited or reserved, but it's still trying to get more independent. The drive is still to be more independent, to take it a little bit myself, to do something myself. By Gemini, you're at the greatest daylight and the mind is just bubbling, I'm doing my own thing and everything I'm thinking is okay. So we got, the States has the president, Donald Trump, the Gemini with the Mercury and Gemini. And he thinks he knows everything that's going on. He can see everything more than anybody else. And anything he can't see it, well, it's bad news, or it's false news, or the person's an idiot because they can't see it clearly. The way I see it is obviously the best way to see it. So that's kind of a negative extreme, but it's easy to see. You can see the behavior pattern. You can see the way the mind is working to try and be more independent. So being in Gemini, Trump, for example, isn't going to want to be listening more. He wants to be acting on his ideas, making his ideas go more, pushing it further. Why couldn't I be president? You know, I can do that. He takes on everything. It doesn't mean he'd be a good president, but you can see his thinking. He's totally impressed with his own thinking and what's going on, wants to see what else he can learn, what else he can do, what he knows, and he'll give his opinion on anything. So having Facebook and other things to throw his opinions out, that's great for him. It looks kind of stupid to some other people, but this is just the nature of the daylight increasing. It's a simple category, but a powerful, of all the zodiac categories, this light darkness increasing is probably the most powerful category to see, and the most primary one that you can see. So if you have a kid that's having a difficulty in picking things up, you can start tuning into the need to do it yourself. Just try this. You make up experiences so they can try things for themselves. But if someone has the darkness increasing, that's not how they're going to process. They're not going to. They're going to be thinking they want to belong more. They're going to be thinking they want to see the team. They want to see other people. They want to know how other people think. So they're going to be listening to others and interacting with others to formulate their thinking. So they're more likely to interchange and ask someone how to do things with the darkness increasing, or thinking about belonging and doing things with others, and might be a tendency to not want to do one's own thing. Let's do it together. No, I don't want to do it. Go do your homework. Oh, come help me. I don't really want to do it. Now, the daylight increasing may not want to do the homework because it has other things it wants to do, different way of thinking. But it's not trying to be responsible, it's just trying to be more free. And this thinking about being more responsible, belonging more, about involvements with other people, that's a different type of thinking. And it's a different type, it creates a different type of child and adult So one of the puzzles over the week, this is why these classes are good once a week, so, or these webinars, so that you try it. So through this week, try and observe who's thinking independently, who's thinking a little more responsibly or a little more cautiously, or reflecting a little, or being a little more sensitive to what other people have to say, who's listening, who's not, who's trying to be more independent, who's trying to belong. So someone with the nighttime increasing might always be thinking what other people are doing, where are you going, who you're seeing, what are you doing, what they say to you, what's happening. Your mind can be pulled up to what other people are doing more than you're thinking for yourself. So that can be good in some social situations, but it can be good for a psychologist or some people trying to figure out how other people are thinking, but it's not necessarily good for the writer or the person who's trying to make their own ideas and go on it. So you want to try and look at this. It's like, this is the theory. We got the theory. We want to be able to just make it real. First for yourself, is this true? That's why the word trees, is this true? Well, could it be so? And then you're trying to imagine which way to, and you might not, if you can't imagine it, I can't see this now. Imagine it back when you're 20 years old, or imagine it back when you're a teenager, or when you're in grade school, or even when, if you can remember before, you'll see at some point in your life, oh, there it is. I was reacting like that in that situation. And then slowly, all the different pieces and different ways it happens will start to become more and more apparent until you see the presence of it. It's not wrong. It's not defining it. You're just tuning into leaves on the tree. But it's confirming the working of astrology. Okay. All right, I just got to turn this. Where's the next one? Oh, it comes down. Yeah, okay. Okay, so the second category, I have them in these orders because these are almost in the orders of the priorities, oops, in the ways that they work. So when half of the year daylight is greater and half of the year darkness is greater. So this divides the daylight increasing half or the nighttime increasing half by half. You know, divides it the other way. So it's just measuring not whether it's increasing or not, whether one is greater than the other, whether your independent thinking for yourself is more important, or the team thinking or the group thinking or thinking about others and is more important. So this is a big different texture. Again, when you're moving towards things, you're trying to think for yourself, you're trying to hear what other people are saying, the momentum is to become more of that. Here you're seeing a blatant statement. I'm more me. I'm doing my own thing. I think for myself. Or what's happening? Who's doing what? What are they doing? Why are they thinking? How can someone think like that? You know. So the a Mercury and Aries or Gemini, or I mean, try and tell a Mercury and Aries how to think, or a Taurus or a Gemini or Cancer, Leo, Virgo. They got their own systems, their own ways, their own sensitivities. You're presuming something if you think you can tell them how they're supposed to think. They're going to look like you like you're an idiot or be mad at you. But if you're trying to tell how you think or try and share how you think, or that to someone with the Mercury in Libra, Scorpio, Sag, Capricorn, Aquarius, or Pisces, they're always fascinated with how other people think and how other people are processing and what's going on around them and how much they're a part of it and how to play the role. So it's both realities are very valid. But both in a person's life it makes our lives play out one way or another. You know, so we learn differently. Some people learn by someone holding their hand and doing it with them. Some people, you got to just go do it yourself. You know, if you're teaching someone to skate, you can hold their hand to skate across. And some kids don't hold my hand, don't do, whether they follow or they just run out and try and get across it. Now, other sensitivities come in, can affect it, but this is the way the mind is processing. So when you're seeing this, you can start figuring out ways how to make that person's mind strongest and most alive. You know, some kids, by the time they get to daycare, they get out of the home and they meet other people, it's so alive, it's such a positive experience. Other people, not at all. They're just in their own world and they're not interacting that well. So, is your mind thinking freely? Are you a more free thinker or more social thinker? More independent, more social? more free, more responsible. So thinking about others leads to more thinking about what's responsible, what's right, what's wrong, what can do, what we can't, how it affect other people. And the daylight is greater. It's not going to be thinking how it's affecting other people. What can I do? What can I do? Why not? Where is it? It has a different means. Both have its own brilliance. So the team player and the independent. So how do you want someone who has a really strong independent mind? It's good for them to have social experiences, so but they're still going to process it by how they're doing things for themselves. So education, there's almost two different kinds of thinking. Teachers are going to run across it without even necessarily knowing it. They'll run across kids that process these two different ways. In relationships, if you're approaching really independently, what kind of partner did you choose, or what kind of partners have you related to that communicated to you or didn't? A lot of people get married and get together and they don't even communicate that well because they think differently. And they don't understand that that's not the way it's supposed to be. Okay, so again, you think about these, we go over these, you think of these kind, look at your chart first, work with it till you see, okay, I think it's this, or here's how it works. Then during the week, look at your wives, look at your kids, look at other people's, and just the 5 or 10 charts that you know well that you're working on, or people that you know well, and see it. Observe it. As soon as you get it, you'll get your confidence about using this insight. I mean, this whole webinar is about getting confidence to use the language yourself and know that you can talk about something and it's valid to who you're talking about and it's meaningful information. And at the same time, you're learning the different frequencies of each planet and the different levels of functioning or layers of consciousness that they involve. Whew. Okay. Yeah, okay, so to the next one. So on the next one, we have our 4 seasons. So with the 4 seasons, again, we're just combining the two that we've already seen. When you have the daylight increasing, half of it nighttime is greater, half of it daylight is greater. So even though the daylight's increasing, there's a difference between the winter and the spring. And again, this is the same thing. We use the same categories, same logic, but we're applying it to different planets. And as you get used to doing, these are the scales. It's like just knowing this is how it works. You just start to trust it. But when you have Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, the daylight is increasing. They want to think for themselves, but they're so surrounded by and influenced by the way other people are thinking and what's going on around them that they often don't have a chance to express themselves that well. And they have to, even though they're moving in that direction, they're having to take into consideration where everybody else, what's going on, what's happening. So they're in social situations or situations where they're picking it up, but they're beginning to figure out what's going to work for them or what's not going to work. They'll hear what's right or wrong, and they have to decide what they're going to use or what they're not going to use. So they can be told what to do and eventually grow into thinking for themselves. But on their own, they might not be strong enough to just think for themselves. That other guidance might be useful. That involvement might be a useful factor. Okay, so that's the daylight increasing and nighttime is greater. Winter daylight's increasing, but the darkness is greater. So individuals or freedom emerging out of a greater sense of responsibility or a greater sense of other people. How am I going to think when everyone else is thinking like that? It's still a puzzle moving to independent thinking, but who you know, what do you do, where are you going? All of these processes are in those 3 signs of Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. When you get to Aries, Taurus, Gemini, when you get to spring, there's an obvious difference. Here you have the daylight increasing and daylight is greater. I'm just thinking for myself when I'm burned on it. I'm not listening. I don't know what you want to say. I don't want to sit down. It's boring to sit and listen to you. I'm just going to do it myself. Aries, Taurus, Gemini. Have you ever tried to talk an Aries or a Taurus or a Gemini out of doing what they're doing or tell them they don't know what they're thinking about? You're not going to get a sensitive response. They're going to interpret that as adversary and that you're an idiot. And they're going to do their own fight to make it their own way anyways.